What is going on, everybody? NGM here, and today is the day we finish our little mini series we have going on here where I build every single haunted mansion facade in all of the Disney parks around the world. As you can see, we got a nice panorama here from Disneyland, Florida, Tokyo, Paris, and even though it's not technically a haunted mansion, Mystic Manor, in my opinion, counts. So that is what we will be building today, is the Mystic Manor from Hong Kong Disneyland. And might I just say this in advance, this is the has been the most convoluted and time-consuming house I have ever built in this game. And you guys will see that's just it. You guys will see. So just like all the others that builds that I have done, you start with the outline. Even though it's not one-to-one and all that, doing all the measurements and all the fancy stuff we do on the server, you still in some shape or form outline, so you have everything proportional to one another. That way, when you're building, say like you build the entire side of the wall and you realize, hey, this is supposed to fit here, but all of a sudden it doesn't, then you have to tear the whole thing down and do all that. So outlining, very important. And we start off this adventure here with the staircase. Just like Phantom Manor, there's a nice fancy intricate staircase that leads up to the front porch. And if you've noticed, the lime green outlines, I will also be doing the foliage on the outside of the house. Can't really ignore it this time, because it's a very defining feature of this house. I could have done it with Phantom Manor, but it would have taken probably like multiple more days just to outline and build it all. So I just kept with the house. I can make it work for Phantom Manor, but for Mystic Manor, nah, that ain't gonna work. As you'll see here real shortly, like right about now, this is what the staircase would look like pretty much if I didn't have the foliage. Just makes it that much better. So there you can see me adding in the first section of the grass. Trying to get some things away, trying to figure out a design for the wall, trying to get the right height. Then those birch fencing and that acacia log right there is how I usually map out where trees are gonna go. So you can see, just as I was trying to figure out how to say it, I just built that little mini tree right in front. And I will say this so that none of you can have the excuse to comment it in the comments. Yes, I did forget to do those two other trees. Those are supposed to be palm trees. I did forget to do them. But what can you do? I was exhausted after this build. So with the first half of the front garden all done and ready to go, I now move on to the actual house, kind of mimicking or pretty much just copying my porch design that I used for the Phantom Manor. Because hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But now there's a little bit of a little troubling thing right here on how to divide up the or how to add a little more texture to the little roof. Something that I brought up in the Phantom Manor video, using that acacia wood logs with the stone brick. It's a nice little combination, so I found this little design with the half slabs and the stairs to be acceptable. It's better than just flat stone brick. And here's me figuring out the location of that little weird circle window. Those little Chinese windows or doors that they have down there. Wasn't too difficult. Actually turned out pretty well. So I kind of went off on a tangent there because for the most part I was just building the same things as I've done in the past. But now we move on to this side of the house where we have those little windows right there for the first story of that little tower that's gonna pop up here in the future. Now they got all the walls situated here, I finish off building the porch roof and just the porch in general, just to check that off my list of things to do. Now I take a break from the house itself and start making this little wall. Normally in the actual attraction, you would come out of this wall. So right where it sticks out, where you see the blocks of 2 lined up like that, that is where the exit of the attraction would be. But since I'm not necessarily building the attraction per se, I just had it be a stone wall and be like a little oh, what is it? Like a balcony sort of thing. You know, where it's where people could have, you know, like some family gatherings, some friend gatherings, you know, you could have a barbecue out there, you know, that sort of thing. And here I am finishing the second half of the foliage. Get a nice wide shot of here. I think I went a little too far, but hey, it's Halloween and in a little bit of a time crunch, so can't really change it now. And that transition that you just saw was me taking another break, or not another, but taking my first break. I took multiple breaks in this build because I had to do a lot of thinking and a lot of planning and a lot of studying to really figure out where things would go, and you'll see in a minute when we get there. But yes, now we continue. So all the foliage, the front of the porch, and all that is done. So now we start moving on to this section of the house, which I'm just going to say it right away. I end up tearing down whatever you're seeing me build right there. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand looking at it, and I just needed a little more information, if that's a good word to use. I needed more information to figure out just how high these 2 stories, or the second story, is going to be. So it's not really until I get a good grasp on the second story of this house until I go back to this section and I actually finish it to my liking. But as for the materials I use, for the most part, they stay the same. So now this is the first of 3 little overhang porches that kind of stick out of the second story and kind of lean on top of the porch roof. So mostly this is the one where I go in, I try to figure out, you know, how is this going to look. At this point I'm committed to the little alternating stone stair and slab with the acacia log behind it. No going back now. And then I start with that little tower on the left, just to kind of get an idea of that. There's me copying and pasting it in, and then there you just saw I deleted that entire thing except for that little wall back there. So now putting in a little bit of detail on what I have for the tower so far before I build up the top portion, which I will say, this is the tower that has that little like Indian style dome roofs. I have never built one of those in Minecraft ever, especially in a small scale like this, by a 3x3 circle. So here I am trying to outline it in red wool, and I hated it. So I deleted the whole thing and moved on, continued to just detail the tower and just moved on to something else. You'll see me doing this a lot. I jump around a few times and I start building, but then I tear down, I redo certain sections because it took a little bit of extra time to really think and actually figure out how to build it. But now we go to this roof. This roof was one of the primary reasons why I just had to stop building for the day. And in this next jump cut or fade in that you're about to see is going to be the second day of me working on this house. I just couldn't. I was exhausted at this point. I've been building for like 2-3 hours, and I just need to be done for the day. That roof was really irritating me. But here we are on the second day, and I immediately start going in on this side of the house again, changing a few things, rearranging things, you know, adding some detail that wasn't initially there, you know, some trapdoors, some more fences. And then, you know, I get to a point where it's like, you know what, it's not going to get any better, it's good as it is, and then I just move on to the next thing. Because if I had to give one advice, or building advice, if you're struggling on a specific part of your build and you just can't figure out what to do with it, just stop working on it and work on something else and go back to it. Because if you just keep digging yourself into that creative hole, you're not going to get out of it and you're going to get burnt out really easily. So here I am working on this side of the house. See, putting in that little spiral staircase on the side of this tower, as well as detailing it up. I really liked how that portion of the tower looked. And then as you see, it's a little bit wider, but we have another one of those overhanging porches, that being the third and final one. And then this side of the house also had that, pretty much it's the same roof, but in the actual house, like facade, it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit more squished. But at the time I was building this, I didn't really look that deep into it, so I just pretty much copied and pasted it block for block on each side and just filled in the roof. And now we go to the top portion of this tower. And this is probably one of my favorite towers of this entire build. This is the one I had most fun with, trying to figure out, you know, how am I going to do this? What materials am I going to use? And then it's just the roof. The roof is what completes it. It really brings the tower together. And it really just brings this entire side of the house to fruition. This is when I got a really big confidence boost and morale boost, and here I am trying to outline and figure out, you know, how wide the big central square tower is going to be. You know, this is the big boy. This is the tallest tower of the house. So once I think I got a little outline there for like a little square box, kind of take a break and I go build that little tiny window that's out there. Again, that's just me going back and forth between different things. For some reason, when I'm building in Minecraft, I always have this thing where it's like, oh, I gotta go back. Oh, I want to do this, let's just finish this, and then go back to the bigger picture. But here we are, back to the bigger picture. I'm fully committed to it, and we begin to build the big boy tower, the big daddy. This roof was a tricky one. It goes up almost vertically, but slightly at an angle, and then bellows in, kind of like the roof on the tower of Disneyland City Hall. But at first it didn't look right, but then I added in those windows that are sticking out of the side of the roof, and it pretty much just put itself together after that. And now we go back to this side of the house, or this little portion, like weird orange portion. And this time, this is the version that I keep. As you can see, now that I actually know where the windows line up on the second floor, I can line up everything perfectly, and I can start adding in all the detail and all the right materials, and just get it looking good. Alright, and I kind of stayed quiet a little bit here, you know, just to let you guys watch it so I'm not bombarding you guys with my voice. But while I'm messing around with this portion, I just wanted to point out a nice little detail. Because of the replay mod, and it tells you how long each recording is, I did a little simple addition, some simple math, and the total amount of time that this build took me came to be 4 hours, 50 minutes, and 3 seconds. So just to give you an idea of how long this thing actually took. It's like with each house, each one gets more, takes longer, it is bigger, and it's just more convoluted. But here we go. This is probably one of the most satisfying things that happened on this build session. The building and completing of this Indian-style dome roof. Now, once I added in all the signs, the buttons, and the ladders, it came together, and I love how it turned out. Now, these chimneys were a little bit tricky. Since building on MC Amusement, I'm so used to having access to something we call the debug stick. You know, it helps us, separate some things. It's how we're able to manipulate fences and stone walls to our liking. And since I don't have it on here, I had to put in those 2 chimneys, kind of like, that's basically the reason why I had to put it on there. They're 2 separate entities. If I put them side to side, they would have been stuck together and it looked horrible, as you saw before. But going away from that, because the video's faster than my talking, upon looking at a bunch of pictures, there's just this weird bronze copper looking tower in the back. Since there's no real pictures of the back, I just kind of had free liberty on, alright, so it's roughly in this position. Yeah, I'll just stick it right there and we'll call her good. But continuing on the notion of there's pretty much no pictures that I could find of the back of the facade. Not that there'd really be anything back there. I mean, just look at friggin' Florida's Haunted Mansion. I took creative liberties once again, and keeping it simple because, I wanted to get this build done before Halloween so I could edit it and do all this stuff so I could post it on Halloween. I pretty much just copied and pasted the side of that building and just pasted it right there and just filled in the blanks. Just to kind of complete this section of the house and have some sort of consistency with this corner. And there we have it, guys. Green check mark this off. Mystic Manor is done. And this completes our little Haunted Mansion Let's Build mini-series. And just because of how convoluted this house is, it got me thinking, I haven't posted a map on my Planet Minecraft page for a long time. And it got me thinking, if you guys can get this video to 100 likes, I will put this map on for download on my Planet Minecraft page. So do leave a like if you enjoyed the videos so that you can get this map for yourself. Do whatever you want with them. You can build the interiors, you can make your own little personal changes. Hell, you can complete those 2 trees that I missed out on. And yeah, so with that, subscribe for more future content, and I will see you all in the next one.